Hello everyone, this is Jeffrey, or aka JGB146 for Grinderschool.com. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a topic that I think a lot of people make a lot of mistakes in, and that's starting hand selection. I think that the average player plays way too many hands, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about the theory behind starting hand selection. What should be going into your head. We're going to fold this 10 jack. We'll get to why in a little while. But basically, when you're playing starting hands, you want to choose hands to play for a reason. You're looking for hands that'll help you with your primary goal, which of course is to win money, right? Well, the way to do that is to find hands that'll let you win big pots, or if you lose mostly small pots. And there are some categories of hands that I'm going to say we want to play for that reason. We want to play hands that in and of themselves are very strong hands. That doesn't mean hands like Jack 10. It doesn't even mean hands like King Jack or King Queen. It means hands like pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, ace king. Basically any pocket pair from 10s and up would fall under this category, and ace king and ace queen would fall under this category. Anything below that, you're not playing for the hand strength alone unless you're in late position, when we can probably add pocket nines and ace jack, ace 10. So other than hand strength, there are other ways that you can profit through poker, obviously. And one of the ways you can do that is by winning a hand that playing a hand that by itself isn't very strong, but can make a strong hand, like can make the nut flush. Queen 7 suited doesn't make the nut flush, and it only has one way to improve, and that's by making a flush. Otherwise, you can end up in a lot of situations where you make the second best hand. Like if we hit a pair of queens, we're in trouble. So again, just hitting that flush, we're going to talk more about potential hands, but just having the flush potential isn't enough for us to play that from that position. In fact, we would never play a Queen 7 suited unless there were mitigating circumstances. Some of the hands that you can play for potential are small pairs and suited connectors, because they hit in more than one way. They can improve in more than one way. And with the suited connectors, you specifically want to look to be in one of the latter positions, one of the people close to the button, so that you can probably act after your opponent and gain the advantages that entails. I'll talk about that in another video. But pairs, it's not as big an issue, because when you hit with pairs, you're making three of a kind, and you actually hit twice as often. You hit that three of a kind on the flop as you do with a suited connector. So you can be in any position really, and do well enough. With the suited connectors, you want to be in position, and preferably you want to be in a pot with multiple people already in, because you want there to be enough potential for a whole lot of people to be in for a small amount to help you build that pot early on. If someone's raised and your head's up against them, that's going to be a harder situation to play. So multi-way enables you, if you hit your big hand, to take down a big pot a lot better. Here we've got an ace 9. Remember what I said about medium aces in early position? It's not playable. We're just folding. So another category of hands that you can play sometimes are hands that I'll call deception or stealing hands. And with them, even more than the suited connectors, you need to be in position to get the advantages that entails, because you're really not playing your cards at all. You're just trying to exploit your opponents and get them to make a fold with a hand that maybe is better than yours. So you can fit any potential hand into this category, and if you have the right reads on your table, you can actually play almost any cards for this reason. But again, you want to be in position when you do it, and you really want to make sure you know your opponents, and you kind of can predict how they're going to respond to a lot of your plays. The last category I'm going to talk about are actually hands that we don't want to play, and that's because they get us in the situation like we talked about with the Queen 7, where we can make a pair of queens and end up losing a big pot, whereas if we make a pair of queens on the board and we win it, we're probably not going to get a big pot. So they're hands that I call trap hands, and they consist of any kind of two high card hands that aren't like an ace high with a kicker. So like ace jack fits into that category. It's a trap hand if you hit the ace, because in a lot of cases, if you get a big pot out of it, you'll be against an ace queen or an ace king. King jack is even more in that situation, because you'll be against ace jack or king queen if you hit the king, or ace king, obviously. So any kind of like king queen, king jack, queen 10, jack 10, king 10, any of those types of hands fall into this category. And to a lesser extent, so do hands like this king 3. I mean, king 3 looks more like garbage than king jack, so it doesn't have to be said. But anytime you have the one high card and then the kicker that can get you in trouble, that's a trap hand, and you want to avoid that like the plague. We got to talk about a few hands and see why we were folding them. We didn't get to really play any hands during this video, so I apologize for that. But hopefully it's been an enlightening experience, and hopefully you've learned something throughout it. With that, this is Jeffrey for Grinderschool.com, signing off.